Finally tonight, he has steered us and you through many of the biggest stories of the last 3 decades with clarity, insight, and fairness. But tonight, the story is about Pete Williams himself as he says goodbye.
The Supreme Court's action.
It's a common refrain heard in newsrooms around this network. In Pete, we trust. Whether it's explaining intricacies of a Supreme Court decision.
Let's go right to NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams. Pete.
Lester, in this historic decision, the Supreme Court has now overturned Roe v. Wade. This is the first time the Supreme Court has ever granted a constitutional right and then took it away.
A break in an investigation.
We're also told that he says they got their instructions on how to make their bombs from the internet.
Asking the tough questions.
What does it do to morale when some of the toughest criticism comes from the president himself?
Would we prefer not to get criticized? Of course. But in many ways, we're our own toughest critics.
Pete's journalism roots were planted in his beloved home state of Wyoming. He started as a summer relief anchor.
Good evening. I'm Pete Williams.
After college, he returned home and got his first TV job at KTWO, eventually becoming the news director.
The amount of the damages surprise you?
Nothing surprises me.
After 10 years at KTWO, Pete joined the staff of then Congressman Dick Cheney as press secretary, eventually moving to Washington when Cheney became defense secretary, propelling Pete to Pentagon spokesman and an advisor to Cheney during the first Gulf War.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Pete Williams.
In 1993, Pete joined NBC News, covering the Justice Department and the Supreme Court, breaking stories on spies like the CIA's Aldrich Ames and FBI's Robert Henson.
Investigators say he was arrested Sunday night in this suburban Washington park in Virginia after dropping off a package of classified information for his Russian handlers. Investigators say he would signal a drop by putting strips of tape here on this sign.
Pete's steady hand guided the network and viewers through some of the most difficult news events in history. The bombing of the Federal Building in Oklahoma City.
U.S. officials now tell NBC News that the arrest that happened just within the hour was in Oklahoma.
9/11.
Federal agents respond immediately. More than 4,000 FBI special agents and 3,000 support staff already on the case.
And on top of all the recent mass shootings.
Texas authorities say Ramos bought these weapons legally.
He is arguably the dean of the Supreme Court Press Corps.
Breaking news. NBC News has learned that Stephen G. Breyer will step down as a justice on the U.S. Supreme Court. We want to go right now to Justice correspondent Pete Williams, who's breaking this news for us.
According to people that he has talked to, his intention is to retire at the end of this term. This will be the biggest change in the Supreme Court in at least half a century.
Quickly boiling down the pages and pages of the most consequential cases, always taking his time to get it 100% right. From the Affordable Care Act.
The bottom line here is the Supreme Court has upheld the health care case.
To the disputed election in 2000.
The senior justice dissenting here, Justice John Paul Stevens, I think, leaves little doubt that there's no room for a recount.
If there is no room for a recount, this election is over for Vice President Al Gore.
I see nothing that in any way is incompatible with that, Tom.
And the ruling that made same-sex marriage legal.
Historic ruling here that for the first time the Supreme Court has said there is a constitutional right excuse me, to same-sex marriage. You can hear the cheer in the crowd, a very dramatic moment here.
For all of my colleagues here, Pete is our compass, leading us, giving us direction on stories big and small, and then getting in front of the camera, and dare I say, giving the most accurate, most meticulously reported, detail-filled story.
And we're joined one more time by Pete. Pete, you have been a reliable wingman with me through coverage of so many major stories. What are you going to miss about all this?
Well, I certainly will miss the work, and I'll miss the people. You know, nightly news has always been home base for me at NBC News. Wonderful people that I've worked with. And I wish people who have doubts about journalism could see all the work and care that goes into the stories that are on nightly news every night, the layers of review, the efforts to get it right. I'm just so immensely proud to have been part of this organization, Lester, to work with you and the other talented journalists who care so much about the news and about each other.
All right. Well, Pete, good luck to you. We love you. A lot of admirers on both sides of the camera. And that's Nightly News for this Friday. Thank you for watching, everyone. I'm Lester Holt. Please take care of yourself and each other. Good night.